All right, Michigan has a head coach that is not afraid to talk a little trash. He's not talking a ton of trash, but he's subtly throwing jabs, and he did it with Justice Haynes. He threw a jab at Alabama, and now he's throwing a jab at USC. We're going to talk about what those look like. We're going to talk about the key to this game for me. What I believe the key to this game is for the Michigan Wolverines in order to beat USC out in LA. It's not easy to do. It's not easy to go out to California and get a win. In fact, Michigan only has one win since their 1997 national championship when they play west of the Rockies. I believe they are 1-10. There's a stat for you. You can look it up. I read it. It was on Twitter. I'm pretty sure it's accurate. The only win west of the Rockies was against Alabama at the Rose Bowl the year we won the national championship. So there's the last two wins out there are pretty big, beating Washington State to win a national championship, and then beating Alabama to get to the national championship. So those are pretty big wins. But, yeah, we're going to have to play well. USC showed how hard it is to travel when they came out here and got beat by Illinois. Penn State showed how hard it is to travel when they went out and got beat by UCLA. So we have that trend going against us, and now Sharon Moore is creating a little bit more buzz. Let's go ahead and see what he had to say if you haven't seen this yet. Sharon Moore said this week that the game against USC is sold out. Why, you ask? Because Michigan is coming. Lincoln Riley immediately responded with, I don't really care what he says. Now, here's the funny thing. He's not wrong. All right, tickets are still available for USC's remaining home games. This is its first sellout of the season. USC had 3 sellouts last season. Do you want to know who they were to? I can show you. All right, Nebraska, Penn State, and Notre Dame. When a big brand comes in to play them, they sell out. This is not a USC problem. Okay, I'm going to be very clear on that. This is a California problem. This is an LA problem. There is a beautiful stadium in LA that houses 2 teams, the LA Rams and the LA Chargers. And when you watch the game, every single home game for those teams looks like an away game. The crowd is like a 50-50 split. LA is a true melting pot, right? We always say that this country is a melting pot. LA is a melting pot. But what I mean by that, when I say that term, I mean like all states have moved to California, like people from all states. So there's going to be a ton of Michigan fans out there. Not to mention, it's one of the destinations you circle as a Big Ten fan that you want to go to there, and let's just plan a vacation for that time. Like, that is why it's going to happen. But Sharon Moore's not wrong, and Lincoln Riley can be upset about it. Now, USC is not doing any favors to draw a large crowd. They're not winning a ton of games. But I do think they have a good team this year, and I want to talk about that a little bit. By the way, Sharon Moore said some stuff after the game last week when he was talking about Justice Haynes, where he flat out said, I don't know, I feel bad for the team that let him go. Like Alabama, he's saying basically Alabama didn't want him. Now he's here, and he's just championing his player. I have nothing wrong with that. I have nothing wrong with confidence. I don't like cockiness necessarily. I have nothing wrong with confidence, and Sharon Moore definitely has it. He definitely has it. But when we look at the game itself, I have 2 things on the defensive side of the ball. I'm not that worried about our offense moving the ball. I think they should be able to move the ball. Proof we do it live. God bless me. So thank you. I don't know what I'm doing. This is weird. But I'm confident we're going to move the ball. I'm confident we're going to be able to score in the high 20s, low 30s at least. The question is, can our defense, hold them to high teens, low 20s? And there's a couple of trends that I've been looking at that I want to see work in our favor. The first one is the opening drive trend that we've had. All right, Sharon Moore talked about this. He talked about, the one thing we talked about was tackling. We're trying to get the ball out, but we have to get the ball carrier down. He said, what I admire about our defensive coaches and players is that there's never any panic. They adjust and they go. This was to him talking about, basically why is this happening? Defensive line coach Lou Esposito had his own explanation of it. He said this. He said their first 15 plays are an opening script. So they practice those all week. We have to do a good job of settling down. You don't want to let them score on the first drive, but we settled down and we did a good job after that. This is them talking about their game against Wisconsin. But it's not the only thing that happened at Oklahoma. The Wolverines gave up a 12-play, 75-yard drive that took 5 minutes off the clock and resulted in a touchdown. That a similar scenario happened at Nebraska. 10 plays, 70 yards. All right. And then most recently, 12 plays, 75 yards for the Badgers. This looks very, very similar. Against Oregon, what am I saying? Against Oklahoma, we didn't come back and score. Against Nebraska and against Wisconsin, we did. So that's the thing. Like, if we come back and score, all right, we start dead even, that's fine. But what if we don't come back and score? When you have an offense that has the firepower, and what I will say about our defense is that our run defense has been pretty solid. Our pass defense is an area where I can get nervous. And so I want as much help on the back end as we possibly can. So what I'm looking at is our edge room. I'm looking at our defensive tackles. Last year, yes, we blitz. And yes, Wink Martindale blitzes. That's what he does. He gets creative with blitzes. He tries to confuse quarterbacks and things like that. But one of the beautiful things about our defensive line that you want it to be is, can you just send 4 guys and get pressure? Can Derek Moore and Jayshon Barham consistently win one-on-one opportunities on the outside? But what we had last year was we had big men up the middle, right? Mason Graham especially, that were able to get off blocks in the middle and create pressure up the middle. This year, we have great run-stuffing defensive tackles. We do. I'm not knocking them on any of that, but we need to get a little more pass rush out of the interior. What we've relied on is some blitzing and our edges. So if we want to pass rush up the interior, it's been interior blitzes. If we want to pass rush on the edge, we can do it with our edge defenders, or we blitz. I would love to see this team get consistent pressure when rushing 4, maybe 5. And if you can do that, that will allow this young secondary to be able to gel and do better. But if you're hoping to hold wide receiver targets like Lemon, right? Like, who already has over 500 yards, almost 600 yards. All right, Mekhi Lemon, 589 yards and 5 touchdowns. If you expect to hold him, you need pressure on the quarterback. You need to match, and you need to play complementary. I always talk about complementary football, offense to defense, but you need complementary football, defense to defense. You need your defensive line to complement your defensive backfield. You need your linebackers, so you need to be able to have pretty good coverage on the back end with good pressure up front. And if you don't have good pressure up front, you need really good coverage on the back end. And if you have great pressure up front, you don't need as good of coverage because they don't have to stick in coverage as long. So if we can make their offensive line look bad, if we can say you're not ready for the physicality that we're going to bring, then I think it could be good. But this is a USC offense that so far has been better than the one under Miller Moss last year. They just are. In fact, they turned to Mayava last year. So I expect it to be better. He looked human. He definitely got hit. He threw the ball 43 times against Illinois. And if we can make them one-dimensional by stopping the run consistently, we have a very good chance of winning this, because throwing the ball 43 times against this defense is a recipe to get your quarterback destroyed, not to win. All right, hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.